Namaskar, hello and welcome to this maiden edition of the Healing Hour, which the Rethink India Institute, in association with Arogyam Institute of Integrated Medical Sciences, would be bringing to you on weekdays. Today is the very auspicious occasion of Sharad Purnima, and I am Raghav Mittal, and I have with me Dr. Surbhi Vash Mittal. Today it will be a duet, but we will be bringing in more and more experts to illumine you all in the intertwined and the integral compact of healing. तो निर्णय यही है कि हेल्थ केयर विच इज सच अ कॉम्प्लेक्स इशू एंड वी ऑल आर अफेक्टेड we all want to aspire to have the Jivim Shardah Shatam, the aspiration to live up to 100 years without diseases, with all happiness and prosperity with all of us. So at Arogyam Institute of Integrated Medical Sciences, I have Dr. Surbhi Vash Mittal, who is the founder of the institute, whose focus and forte is on the preventive, protocolized, and integrative medicine. And you would be unraveling these terms, the real purport of it in consequent sessions in these healing hours going forward. Today is a very seminal day, apart from the cosmic epoch of having a full moon, the Sharad Purnima, on 16th of October 2024. We are also commemorating word over the word food day, the word spine day, the word anesthesia day, and the word allergy awareness day. Now, these are all very deep, I would say, medical terms, medical concepts, medical precepts, and we all have somewhere or the other in our lives, either in our own, in our family, or in acquaintances, have come across each one of them. And before I bring in Dr. Surbhi, one of the core paradigms at Arogyata, which has been that Ahar hi Aushadhi hai. And today being the World Food Day, I would like to request Dr. Surbhi to entail us, to illumine us. She's a graduate from the All India Institute of Medical Sciences, a, 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 a consultant physician. He chose to be a specialist in family medicine per se. And so Dr. Surbhi, आप ये बताएं हमारे दर्शकों को कि आहार ही औषधि है, ये जो पैराडाइम है, टुडे बीइंग द वर्ल्ड फूड डे, सो मोर फ्रॉम द मेडिसिनल पर्सपेक्टिव आउट हियर.
So, Namaskar. Greetings of Sharad Purnima to one and all. And, today is World Food Day, Food as said very much, that food is the essence of medical treatments. When we talk of any disorder, lifestyle disorder, or any disorder, the underlying treatment prescription is based on the food regimen, the dietary regimen. You might be having diabetes. What kind of a diet you'll follow? You have hypertension, salt restriction, what avoidance of fried food. Ahar hi aushadhi hai. And very much, when we talk of prevention is the core in at Arogyam Institute of Integrated Medical Sciences. We talk about preventive, integrative, and protocolized healthcare. Where we holistic healthcare, integral healthcare. So prevention is best achieved when you don't fall ill. And how you prevent that? Ahar hi aushadhi hai. If you are taking the right diet, if you're taking the right food, at the right time, with the right portion, the right quality, the right quantity, and you will not fall ill. And even if there is a slight derangement, the food adherence, the right dietary habits will help you recover ASAP as soon as possible, and you will recover your health. So what we want is keeping healthy people healthy. We don't want you to fall ill. So that is why Ahari Aushadhi hai.
So at this very point, I would also like to bring about that Rethink India, along with Arogyam Institute of Medical Sciences, we are running a series on interpreting the 17 dietary guidelines, which the Indian Council of Medical Research, ICMR, National Institute of Nutrition, based out of Hyderabad, brought about the dietary guidelines for Indians. And they are a treasure trove indeed. and the 17 dietary guidelines they what Dr. Hemlata ma'am and her team has really brought about. I think that's a juxtaposition of food with healthcare. And somewhere or the other in that dietary guideline, they say that above 56% से ज्यादा जो डिजीज बर्डन है वो डिजीज्ड फूड के कारण है। तो यानी कि 56% हम अपनी आरोग्यता जो है वह युक्त आहार एक हेल्दी फूड के माध्यम से हम प्राप्त कर सकते हैं। And one of the very simplest paradigm which we can really go back is avoiding the ultra processed foods which have just come out in the market. Let's invest more in home cooking. Let's invest more in the cooking technology which has come. The food technology is so very phenomenal, and it's fun to cook for that matter. It can be taken up as a hobby because food is the roti, kapda, or makan, some of the elemental requirements of human existence. So roti is all about food. So how we can equip our kitchenettes or pantries in our workspaces wherever to really devour and eat these healthy foods. So kind of a foodathons we can probably have rather than ordering from one or the other apps from the nearby restaurants because they have their own commercial challenges, commercial constraints, we can say so. And a lot of beautiful videos have come with wonderful recipes, wonderful innovations are happening in the domain of food. We should celebrate them. We should really cherish that because आहार ही औषधि है. It remains, it is the center stay of Ayurveda for that matter. And even the modern medical sciences are accepting it as the ICMR NIN guidelines have really put all across through that. We will come to more about food in this healing hour, intertwined insights into integral healthcare. तो प्रिवेंशन अगर हम खाना अच्छा खाएंगे, भोजन अच्छा पाएंगे, सही समय पर खाएंगे, सही मात्रा में खाएंगे, so a lot of the disease burden, the 56% of the disease burden, only the 44% now needs to be tackled. And out of that 44%, a lot of it might be genetic, might be other things. So we can be 56% healthy by adopting the healthy food habits alone. Today now the three more involved doctors would be the spine, the anesthesia, and the allergy. I would say we will cover the allergy part first because a lot of people like today we are bound or coerced to live in the city life. जहाँ पे so much of automobiles are here, whatsoever the Bharat stage 4 or 5 filters might be there, but we breathe in the polluting air. The other day we were in Noida and our AC repairing person said that because of the prevalence of H2S, the AC coils they get corroded. So agar jo what can corrode the metal somewhere it might be corroding deep within. So how and these are kind of allergens. हम लोग किसी ना किसी प्रकार की एलर्जी से प्रभावित हैं, संक्रमित हैं. Allergy is also used in the colloquial term. Today is also the birthday of Noah Webster and it is commemorated as a dictionary day. So allergy, मोए आते allergy ना है. Like I don't have any kind of a distinguished feeling from that person, place or thing, a disfavor or something like that. But in the medical terms, let's explain what is allergy in a layman terms and how we can avoid that or how we can treat that, and most importantly, how we can manage that. And please try to focus upon in the domain of food because a lot of us are having the food allergies per se. Dr. Surbi.
So, to understand what is allergy, allergy is an immune response, basically. It is an immune response where we have an allergen and we have the body, human body. So, when an allergen is acting upon the human body, there is an immune response. That immune response may be in the form of maybe a systemic reaction or a local reaction in the form of rash, in the form of indigestion, in the form of any kind of discomfort, nausea, vomiting, and so on and so forth. So food allergy, when we talk of, these are the symptoms of food allergy. Similarly, we have allergic respiratory diseases also. We have allergic skin diseases, skin allergies. We have immune allergies. So this is the central bottom line of it is an immune response. So something which the body rejects, when an external stimulant or a allergen comes, not a stimulant, but an allergen comes, the body rejects that substance. And so there is an immune response. Now, if we talk of food allergies, so food allergies, commonly noted allergies to egg, you know, and people who are allergic to egg, people who are allergic to even, for that matter, some gluten intolerance, it's a form of intolerance. But then there are food allergies like non-veg, there may be certain non-veg items people are allergic to, or certain drugs. Drug allergies is another component where we have, certain drugs you're not tolerant to. So the doctor, if you go to a hospital, will often ask you, are you allergic to any drugs, any known drug allergies? So how to prevent allergies? Basically, it's as simple as that. Avoid the allergen. Somebody is susceptible to dust allergy, pollen allergy. We say when you go to any garden or open jungles or any that kind of areas where there's a lot of flora, please use a handkerchief and cover your nose and mouth. So avoid the allergen. That's the basic step. And the second is, of course, that say for example, food allergies. Again, avoid the food items. Say egg is there, why to eat, always inquire, is this element containing any egg or that kind of item. Of course, in vegetarian food, there is usually, less of food allergies are there, but then people have different sensitivities. So that is of course there. Like I said, that wheat, some people are allergic to even milk, for that matter. If they drink a certain kind of a milk, a cold milk, hot milk, so they would feel nauseated. So this is not fully obvious allergy, but then yes, it's a form of allergic response in the body. So I mean, you have various coping mechanisms how to deal with it. So that's one. Second, of course, immune modulator medicines are there in case there is an allergic response which mounts in the body. How to cope with it? There are say for example, any plant, there's some plant which stings you, you get an allergic response. So you take a medicine like Avil or some kind of immune modulators, which will help you overcome that immune response in the body or come out of the allergic reaction. So first is of course prevention, avoid the allergen. If the allergic response still occurs because if by mistake you consumed that allergen, then we have medicines which will help you overcome that state of allergic immune
So can
response.
allergy be treated? Can it be cured, or it is an intrinsic condition of a human body?
That's a good question, See, basically, this is the state of the immunity of the body. So, well, I would now bring in here, certain systems of medicine which work on the immunity. And in this, a big way is homeopathy. Homeopathy works on the immune system very, very slowly, very, very gradually. At Arogyam Institute of Integrated Medical Sciences, when we say integrated, we also talk of the systems of medicines. So though I am an allopathic doctor trained from the All India Institute of Medical Sciences, but then this is the conscious effort to integrate the various pathies or the healing systems. So homeopathy has a role because wherein it certain like allergic responses, like respiratory allergies, arsenic album, very very much used in COVID times, also works on the immune level. It works on the immune response only. So these are the ways you can slightly tamper with the immune disposition of the body. But largely, if I say from allopathy and from holistically systems of medicine, it's tough to cure the allergies on a regular basis. So to accept it, yes, I am allergic. Certain people are allergic to drug allergies like sulfur drugs. Maybe some antibiotics, like somebody's allergic to penicillin group of drugs. Somebody's allergic to ofloxacin, like oftenly used for loose motions or loose stools. So then to be very careful, because if you take that drug, some people are allergic to serratiopeptidase. These are group of drugs which we commonly take when dental treatments are there, which we call as enzoflam. So many examples are there which we come across. So one has to be careful in avoiding the allergen. That is the basic treatment protocol. Prevention is best in this, because once the allergic response mounts, you might even need an IV injection, or a dose of shot of adrenaline. Even it can be allergic response can be life threatening even. even if
You
it's a
also mentioned about
amount.
allergy modulating drugs. Like, what is the, if we keep on using those drugs, so what are the end goals? What is the prognosis of overusing those kind of drugs?
Well, you see, the immune modulator drugs, primarily if we talk of allergen in allergy, these are primarily histaminic group of drugs, which we say these drugs, can be taken once in a while to curb the allergic reaction in the body. But if taken on regular usage, any medicine for that matter is comes with its side effects. So some side effects are documented and some side effects are not documented. So this is something which I would say that medicines should be taken when we say at Arogyam, we say optimal, accurate diagnosis, optimal investigation, and judicious medication. So medication should be taken just as much as you need it, just to that right matra or that calibration. Because if taken in the long term, definitely, I mean, I would say that. You are tampering with the most perfect creation, the human body, which has been created with a
So I
certain.
think I think one of the core prescriptions, takeaway prescriptions, is that if you are really allergic to something or the other, food allergies, drug allergies, or any kind of ecosystem-based allergies, you might be having your medical prescription with you, and if you are consuming some drug for a longer period of time, it's perhaps time to get it audited. It's time to get it seconded because it might be having some kind of a different, I would say, building up of any other condition for that matter, which might blow out in proportion. So I think so much so far for the allergy awareness, like prevention is the center stay. First is identification. Obviously, all kind of tests are there today with the advancement of the medical sciences. But then once identified, once diagnosed, how to manage it, I think that's a very personalized kind of a challenge, and perhaps Arugam Institute of Medical Sciences can really extend you support and help on this count. Dr. Surbi has a wide network of eminent Imzonian doyens, the global network of Imzonians, and together with Ahar, Vihar, Vichar, and then Aushadhi. That is the quad. That is the classical quad which is practiced out in the Arugyata parlance in over here. Now, coming to very closely related topics like today's happens to be the word spine day and also the word anesthesia day. And many of you in the family or in your acquaintances might have undertaken anesthesia, general anesthesia per se in the spine for that matter. So, Dr. Surbi, let's come for some layman kind of understanding ki what is the spine and why it is so very important, and just some physiology, some anatomy, whatever medical terms कि spine का रीढ़ की हड्डी का the 23 spinal brackets whatever we have, what is the role and relevance of spine in the human body and what it means to have a spine arogyata.
So, very beautifully you have said that spine arogyata, spine or merudand, what we say in yogic language, is the spine of the body, as we say. It is harboring. It is really anchoring the human body in its posture, in its erectness, and giving strength and foundation to the entire human body. Also, the spinal column, the vertebral column houses the vertebra, and from the vertebra, foramen, we have the nervous system, the central nervous system is in the brain and the spine, and then we have, so this spine is important from the nervous system point of view, from the skeletal system point of view, from the muscular system point of view, and of course, the arteries and veins are also, they're supplying the spine. That is, of course, the part of the anatomical structure. Now, what is from spine, we also need to understand from the, I would now slightly bring in the chakra theory, So when we talk of the seven chakras, the Kundalini Jagran, in brief, I would say, talks of the serpentine power which is residing in the root chakra, which is in the base of the spine, the point which touches the seating point of the ground with the with the body is the root chakra. So the spine is actually the structure from which the kundalini, emanates from the root chakra to the sahasrara or the crown chakra. That's one part of the yogic explanation. Now, coming to the medical, anatomical, and clinical part of it, spine is very important from posture point of view. Very lot of postural and ergonomic diseases which are happening are due to improper posture and not having the regular spine exercises. So certain tips are there, and which I would like to advise our audience on the World Spine Day. What are the spinal disorders? We need to understand this. Like for example, prolapse vertebral disc, जिसे कहते हैं what we say slip disc. So very commonly found in elderly population, geriatric population these days, even in the middle tier women, especially and all. So prolapse vertebral discs, and if I often see so many MRI reports of women, and mostly mostly women found that the degenerative spinal disorders due to osteoporosis, which happens in postmenopausal women, you know, and an MRI report almost, in all, I should say 60 to 80% of women after 55 to 60 years has some defect or the other. And this is something which is not always detected and diagnosed. It manifests initially in the form of some back pain, some kind of radiating shooting pain, which starts with as a very minimalistic pain, but gradually evolves to be, when you have to go and get an MRI done.
Mhm.
So, how to prevent spinal disorders is my focus today. And first is, of course, that you have to move regularly. That's the first step. Don't be, in one posture for a long time, because muscle spasms and all these kind of things, disorders emanate. So, move regularly, after every 2 to 3 hours, even if you're sitting, studying, we often, recommend to students also that take a, shrug your shoulders, just stretch out, or do some kind of those kind of exercises which help you to keep the spine in a regular motion, and good health of the spine. Second is, of course, drinking adequate water. Dehydration is not good for the spine, because the intervertebral disc, the fluid which is there, needs that, kind of being regularly hydrated. Third point is, of course, doing low impact exercises regularly, like, walking, climbing the stairs, or yoga, yogasanas. And similarly, lifting, when we are lifting weights, three postures are very important: sitting, standing, and lifting weights. In these, the spinal don't, jerky movements are, not recommended. Of course, smoking and drinking are also found to be having impact on the spine. Smoking
Okay.
per se, yes, smoking per se, it has an effect on degenerative uh, diseases of the spine, and alcohol per se, is accentuating or triggering osteoporosis, and some kind of osteoporotic fractures. It triggers, further accentuates that. So this
So is
is
it from the nervous pathway it reaches the musculoskeletal pathway?
well, the exact pathway on how it works. Smoking per se has been found to be causing even arterial deposits, wherein we say atherosclerosis. So definitely the smoke aspect, the nicotine aspect, has some chemical receptor response, and that is in turn affecting the neuromuscular and that kind of component. So that's how it is affecting the degenerative process in the body. So
Mhm.
that's one. And of course, postures, having the right posture. So
Mhm.
those who are working on computers a lot, the right distance from the screen to the elbow, elbow to screen distance, where you're operating the mouse and you're operating the keyboard and the screen. So these are the various, and using ergonomic furniture, especially for those people who have certain orthopedic or kind of a, predilection. Predilection, it means that vulnerability. So all these kind of care
Doctor,
protocols will help.
I would just like to, you mentioned about the asanas, and in fact, I would like to bring in the attention of the audience that if we just closely witness the bulk of the hatasanas, the yogasanas which we perform, somewhere or the other, any expert yogic teacher would tell that most of it is all about spinal health. A lot of
Yes.
asanas, they try to create a kind of a softer spine, not a very hard spine, a stiff spine, the area around the spine, like whatever spas and massages are conducted. If a gentle is done, so just relieving that stress out there. And one of the core in parampara, they say that पैर लटका के बैठना या सुखासन में बैठना, पद्मासन बैठना is a very tougher one, but at
True.
least if we can champion the sukhasana. So can you just try to explain more from a modern medicinal perspective the science, the inherent logic behind this parampara प्राप्त ज्ञान कि भैया सुखासन में बैठो. And today the chairs are quite wider. And in fact, when I'm sitting in front of you, I am in a Sukhasana posture. In my revolving chair, I can just make it happen. So, Dr. Saab, how a Sukhasana helps the spine posture for that matter?
So, well, this comes from that man is emanating from the Neanderthal man, the old, the parampara, our ancestors, So, the spine has evolved, you know. In fact, when we talk of the classification in the animalia, the animal kingdom, we talk of chordata and non-chordata. Spine is so very important.
Mhm.
So mammals have been classified into chordata and non-chordata. Protochordata, primitive spine; chordata, developed spine; and non-chordata, which is they don't have spine. So animal kingdom per se, and mammals are the human being is a mammal. So spine is the basis of classification for the animal kingdom. So spine has been given so much of importance by the biologist even, and a developed spine is the center of the seat of the nervous system. So spine is crucial from so many points of view. When you talk of the yogic asanas, when you say the sukhasana or the padmasana, what happens is that the root chakra, wherein the point where the spine is in touch with the seat or the chair, that is putting pressure on um, you know, the legs, the posture with which you're sitting cross-legged. So the pelvis and the entire structure is such that the spine is kept into the right pressure is being asserted or inserted on the spine. So when we say that coccyx pain, the is very common symptom found in many young adults and teenagers, or even while studying long prolonged periods. Why it happens? The tailbone or the coccyx, it gets inflamed slightly, a lot of pressure, jerky movement. You're sitting on the chair, and some often the chairs are hard,
Mhm.
sometimes wooden chairs, and you're just sitting on them for long hours, and sometimes you're just pressed against the bone too hard. So of course, when you are sitting cross-legged in Padmasana and Sukhasana, so the right kind of pressure is being exerted, and the legs, so this is all the yogic science, and this is the wisdom of the traditional esoteric past, which India is bountifully blessed with. So
Dr. Ruksab, you mentioned a lot about the musculoskeletal part of the spinal power, and also you talked about the Kundalini and the seven chakras and all that stuff. You also mentioned at the very start the critical component of spine in protecting the nervous system of the body. So, if we have a healthy spine, does it also mean a brainy health, a more alert and a more functional brain? So how does the brain health and the spinal health, they converge?
very good question. See, when we study neuroanatomy in the medical sciences, so if you go for a MRI or something, we say head and spine, head and spine MRI. Why we say that? The brain is housed in the skull, or the what we say, the skull is the dura mater, the arachnoid, the various layers of the brain, how it is encased in. And then we have the pons, these are the parts of the brain, at the back of the head, we have these parts. And then the spine is emanating, starting from the medulla oblongata, which is there at the back of the base of the brain, And then from there, the spinal column is emerging, emanating. So the spine is having the spinal nerves, We have two kinds of nerves, cranial nerves and the spinal nerves. So every vertebra, of the vertebral column has a vertebral foramina. Foramina as in openings to the both sides. And these spinal nerves are, from each side they are emanating. So of course, the spine is housing all these nerves, from the vertebral column. These are emerging vertebral foramina. So of course, a good spine means that you are having good, strong nervous system, strong functions, because these nerves are somewhere controlling the nervous system, where we talk of the parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous system. So a lot of voluntary functions, involuntary functions are being controlled by these nerves, spinal nerves. So of course, this the body is a complex machine, and every part has so many 100,000 neurons and so many other
You
finer
had
structures.
mentioned about the sitting part, the standing part, and lifting weights. But
Yes.
then half of our human life, or perhaps half of the day, we generally sleep 6 to 8 to 10 hours, whatever is available. So sleeping is again one of the core functions
True.
whereby we. So how does the spinal health can be preserved while sleeping? Some tips or some guidance on that.
So while we're sleeping, the posture has to be, it has to be well, given attention to. It is medically also observed that sleeping on the belly, or, with the spine upwards, is not good for the heart, or the circulatory system puts pressure on the heart. These are some tips, on the health of the various organ systems. As far as the spine goes, you know, um, random postures, or some neck getting stuck up, of very often get up, in the morning people get up with neck stiffness. Why? Because improper pillow, improper neck posturing while sleeping, these are all very important.
Mhm.
Also, it is said that people who have slightly spine problems while sleeping, if between the knees they can keep a pillow, or and the foot end, they can elevate, with a pillow. And similarly, so these are various movements, postures, I mean postures specifically while sleeping, which can be adhered to, but these should be on advice of a orthopedic or your doctor. So consult, of course, because um, sleeping is something, it's a long time, it's 8 hours, at least 6 to 7 hours. So when you're sleeping, your posture, if it's in not good, not the right way, it should be according to your morbidity or any of the health problems you're facing. So then that can have ramifications on your overall health. So the best posture is supine, where you're just lying on your on the spine at the back. And if you have to take a side, so better, it's usually advised to take the left side, on the left side. And even for pregnant women, we say, let's sleep on the left side. And whenever you have to get up, go the left side, and then get up slightly, gently, and then get down. So these recommendations can be followed, by normal adults as well. So
Mhm.
this is
So
the
now we come to the concluding part of the healing hour on Sharad Purnima, 16th of October 2024. What Dr. Saab has covered upon is primarily the preventive side of all aspects, but then anesthesia is something which is whenever any critical procedure has to be conducted upon the human body, some or the other kind of anesthesia has to be provided upon. So, Dr. Saab, you touched upon the nervous system part of it all. So, just for the sake of our audience, a layman understanding of what does anesthesia does fundamentally, what is the fundamental nature of anesthesia, the site specific anesthesia, like we go to a dentist, he puts up a small injection somewhere and he can take out a tooth. Localized anesthesia and general anesthesia. There are challenges today when multi-systemic surgeries are to be made. Some top of the end hospitals, perhaps in the country, don't have the cold section for that matter, and somewhere the doctors, even at the geriatric age, because of the lack of that facility, they have to undertake multiple anesthesia on geriatric population. So I think from very, I would say, initial to the advanced stage, please try to educate us on the entire spectrum of anesthesia on the word anesthesia day.
So, like it is said that behind every good surgeon is a powerful anesthetist. So this is the importance of the World Anesthesia Day. That the anesthetist is so very critical. What does the word anesthesia mean? Aesthetics or aesthesia is to sense, to feel, and anesthesia where sensation goes away. So anesthesia is a blessing, and it's a boon of uh, discovery of medical sciences, that we can perform surgeries, and in the patient doesn't feel the pain. So anesthetics are very, very trained into, vitals and monitoring, the vitals all around the surgery. And they have to not just man the surgery in terms of anesthesia, but also they have to envisage what would be the recovery, when the consciousness would be regained, how much the effect of the anesthesia would be, and what would be the repercussions on the post-surgical recovery period, follow-up time, which we say. So anesthesia is, of course, of various types, primarily local, of course, is used in dental treatments or skin, treatments, procedures. And of course, general anesthesia is where, the complete, the brain is, put to, anesthesia is, I mean, the consciousness goes away and the patient is like, it's almost like an NDE, NDE in terms of that the patient enters another world. If you talk of the spiritual psychosomatic part of the anesthesia, it's like a new life the patient gets. So in that term, it's a spiritual awakening of the patient. So anesthesia has so many effects, and it's very important that overdosage of anesthesia is not given, because very often it leads to temporary, it can lead to slight memory loss post the surgery, or even so it has to be administered very, very carefully. We have general anesthesia, local anesthesia, and then we have the spinal anesthesia. When we give a spinal shot, the vertebral column, we just inject epidural spinal. When the pain component is very high, we give epidural even, so that the pain relief is also there to that extent. It's a stronger anesthesia that way. But general anesthesia is the larger encompassing, and most surgeries, take the general anesthesia route. Of course, like we have what you talked of, the frozen section is something which, is used for biopsies, for histopath studies. And so this is a very important application of the anesthesia, where in geriatric population, giving multiple anesthesias during multiple surgeries is not called for the very reason that it's a degenerative, stage of life. And if you are administering 2-3 anesthesias, doing 2-3 surgeries in a short period of time, there are so many risks involved. So frozen section is a very novel technique in which during the surgery, in one anesthesia, you take the specimen out for the biopsy, conduct the frozen section. The biopsy report comes within 30-40 minutes while the surgery is still going on, and it guides you as to how much tissue you have to, you have to resect or take out. So, and that gives you an insight into whether the disorder is malignant or benign even.
Dr. Shubhi, you also happen to be, besides an ES clinician, you also happen to be an hospital administrator. You did your master's in hospital administration from Max ILM. So with the kind of medical push, medical rush, we can say, across the corporate hospitals, across, and a lot of money involved, and a lot of insurance and a lot of other CGHS, other stuffs involved in it. So what is the level of medical ethics present in these corporate facilities, and how a normal patient, they might be having money with them, they can afford it across. So do the hospitals, do they have accountability systems, or it is better for a patient to rely upon जिसको हमारे भारतवर्ष में कहते थे त्रयी, गुरु शास्त्र और साधु, कि while you are getting a procedure done at a particular hospital under the guidance of a doyen of that field, cardiothoracic or neuro, these major surgeries or transplantations or whatever. But you should also be in touch with the fundamentalists, your physician, people who can guide you about the various choices available. Because decision making becomes so very difficult in a hospital setting. When we go to a shopping mall, we have all the consciousness of ours. We are laden with our credit cards or debit cards, and we have the consciousness. But hospital is a, or howsoever good smell, touch, taste we can create, whatever ambience we can create, but it's still a scary domain. So, what kind of a strategy you would really advocate or suggest for patients who are really undertaking multiple surgeries, deep surgeries, and how balancing it all out?
You see, Sushruta was the surgeon of our medieval times and of those times. Charak's oath is being administered with the AIMS, at the AIMS MBBS graduation, time. So Sushruta and Charak Sanhita, this is something. This is the not the medieval times. Sushruta was the oldest, the first surgeon of our Indian culture, So now what we need to understand is that surgery is not the first resort. That is the underlying principle, When surgery can be life-saving, surgery can be, giving you another way to live. But then surgery is not I should say, it should be resorted to only when medical treatments and, various other alternate treatments, if there are, whichever in applicable in whichever cases, have not succeeded, or the patient's ADL, activities of daily living, or the functional, life is impaired. The word is impaired. So surgical audit has a very crucial role to play.
Mhm.
And in corporate hospitals these days, well, I mean, if we talk of medical excellence, then there is a lot of food for thought. There's a lot of scope for evaluation. Our country needs a central board which evaluates. Like we have a tumor board. Tumor board. Often in corporate hospitals and in the top, of course, at AIMS and all, we have review board for every department. But then we need those kind of boards, surgical boards, which are cross hospitals. It's a central board, a central agency, which deliberates upon whether this surgery is actually needed or not. What will be the
Mhm.
merits? What will be the demerits? What will be the pros? What will be the cons? What will be the life expectancy? So on and so forth. Say, for example, bariatric surgery, obesity, just get it, everything chopped off, all cut, and you'll be all slim and looking dashing.
So you mean to
See,
say that
I'm not against.
surgery procedures where anesthesia, the medical delivery, the C-section is a different part altogether. That's the
Yes, that's
joyous
a different
mode
word.
of receiving a new life in the family. But the elective surgeries and the multiple
True.
pathways in a treatment, because what happens in the normal Western paradigm, we see the popular culture, the kind of medical serials, we all see that surgery is celebrated at a very different level and a very tertiary level of cases whose incidence might not be
Yes.
that much in the population. But surgery is perhaps, or anesthesia, I would rather say, is not like a popping pill. Doctors like you always refrain from we the normals that don't pop the painkillers, because somewhere or the other they are kind of the initial stage of anesthesia. It lowers down your consciousness somewhere or the other, but it doesn't
Mhm.
heal that challenge out here. I think this is a very strong philosophical note onto which you have touched upon, and a lot of regulatory, both from the government side, both from the self-regulation, and obviously the profession of the doctors per se, because they are the gods. They are celebrated, like giving life to that, because nukte ke her fer se khuda juda hua. So there might be differential pathways, and until or unless there is a impending emergency, I think guru, shastra, or sadhu, a triangulation from multiple sources can be done, and then a very judicious pathway, as the AIMS parlance say, that accurate diagnosis, uh, optimal investigation, and judicious medication. So a mix of surgery or treatments. For example, in one of our case diaries, you would be telling about as to how a geriatric women of touch 65 plus age, diabetic in nature, she got a small shoulder injury, and she got recommended a 3D reconstruction surgery, while a Doyen Amazonian orthopedician in Dr. Jitendra Maheshwari, he just healed her with three X-rays alone. So I think these case studies need to be brought about, and healing art is all about advocating, awareing, making the people aware, because Sharir Madhyam Khalu Dharma Sadhanam. I think that's the motto of the great institution from which you come from. And finally, Dr. Surbhi, it's the parva of Sharad Purnima, and परंपरा में कहते हैं कि शरद के चंद्र के नीचे जो आंखों का द्योतक है, कि उसमें सुई पिरोना परंपरा में एक रिचुअल है. Because like in the law, tradition is also law. Conventions are also law. So similarly, the time-tested traditions, on the Sharad Purnima Ratri, people cook kheer, kshir, and put it in the radiance, the bright radiance of Sharad Chandra, and consume it in the morning. So just touch upon that. What are the scientific or medicinal principles behind these rituals, and which have a positive impact on our health? We have nothing to lose over there. And as some of the doyens are talking about that, there is an empirical evidence which can be taken over by the machines, the instruments what we have developed. But then human body is in itself is a giant instrument, and experiential evidence, if we are finding it across, why not validate it? So your views, and then we will close today's the healing hour.
So, Sharad Purnima has been a focus of study, research, and fascination for ophthalmologists and, I should say, the devotees of Krishna all through, and that is where they both converge, a beautiful point where spirituality converges with medical sciences. So, of course, it is being studied and researched upon as to how it happens, but like the sun, the sun we know emits ultraviolet rays and various kind of rays in various times of the day. So if you have a morning sun, early morning sun, 6:30 a.m., there's a different quality of sunlight. Similarly, 11 to 12, 12 post 12 noon, different quality of sunlight. Evening sunset, different sunlight. Similarly, moonlight. We have the Surya Namaskar, we have the Chandra Namaskar. The moon is said to have different kinds of its qualities of rays of energy. So Sharad Purnima has been proven that yes, doctors and ophthalmologists are studying, and at AIMS we are having a lot of discussion on this today. In amongst the Amazonians, that how to prove this, technically, scientifically, medically, clinically, that Sharad Purnima rays of the moon are causing the you know good eyesight. If you stare at the moon on Sharad Purnima, your eyesight would get improved. If you consume that kheer or shira, which is kept in the radiance of the moonlight in the morning, when you say do sevan of that kheer, that will cause enhancement of your eyesight. But then now, how much, what kind of quality of rays? This is all being researched still. So science has yet to reach those echelons of I should say.
And just one more thing, because we are talking about the moon, and Sharad Purnima is written in the moon time font also. The designers, as you have touched upon the term aesthesia, aesthetics and anesthesia. So चंद्र के घटने और बढ़ने से जो चंद्रमा की कलाएं हैं, the waxing and the waning moon, what we all witness, उसका मन पर जो प्रभाव है, the mediastro part, the discipline which is emerging in a phenomenal fashion, and even psychiatrists are looking at it, because there is a cosmic phenomena. We all see the high tide and the low tide. So somewhere or the other in the human mind, moon has a kind of an impact. We might be covering it across in another healing hour, because it's the initial maiden one. So we felt like, and the auspicious occasion of Sharad Purnima. So a few points on the impact of Chandra on the man, of the mind. Because mental health, apart from the physical health, we can see today, 10th of October, we all commemorated the World Mental Health Day. So 50% of the health problem, 56% problems, we said, they are done away with healthy food. And then the remaining significant problems are the mental problem, what you talk about, the pin part of it all. So just a few words on that.
So, Chandrama or the moon is said in astro to be man ka karak, you know. So the moon directly affects the mind, which we say the man, you know, or the manovagyanik, the psychiatrist. You raised a very, very important and a pertinent point, that the waxing and waning of the moon, the Shukla Paksh, the Krishna Paksh, the various the two parts of the moon cycle, lunar cycle, have a direct impact on the human brain, the mind, spirit, mood rather. In psychiatry, we have a term which we call as mood or affect, you know. So it affects the mood in various forms, you know. Why? Because moon is having, in fact, if you see it scientifically, on the sea tides, you know. And the human being is also, you know, like an ocean, like a sea, you know, कि उसका जो लहरें हैं, जो मन की लहरियां हैं, वो it's being governed by the moon. So that is the astro scientific part of it. And कहते हैं कि जिनकी कुंडली में the horoscope which has कहते हैं नीच का चंद्रमा. How do you mean नीच का चंद्रमा? This is all astro. Medi astro has a lot to, you know, procure or, you know, acquire from this field, you know, that उनको हीन भावना होती है Mondays को. Why this is so? Because नीच का चंद्रमा मीन्स जो दृष्टि है चंद्रमा की आपके जातक पर, वो उनको नीच का चंद्रमा मीन्स the moon is not exalted in its which house it is, what drishti it is having on the jatak. So Monday is the day of the moon, you know, Somvar. Som is the devata of so Monday is ruled by the moon. On Mondays, very often they will say Aaj Monday hai. So astrologers know that why it is happening. So if the psychiatrist and the clinical psychologist can map it to this, I'm sure, if, you know, this a lot of mysteries would be resolved, and
I
that's where
think that
supreme
is where the
psychology
Arogyam
comes in.
Institute of Integrated Medical Sciences comes into play. That is the whole entire spirit and the whole mandate of this healing hour is to bring about these snippets for evoking larger discourse, for a truthful exploration into the various systems of knowledge. Ananto Brahma Jigyasa, we can say so. The Nobel Prizes for the year 2024 have just been declared, the six of them in all phenomenal fields. We can see that the modern medicinal systems are coming closer to the traditional knowledge systems, and perhaps at some point in time, and very soon, there might be some convergence. It's happening in a lot of domain, and perhaps medicinal sciences, there is no turf battle per se. It is all about for the human welfare, for the peace, prosperity, and happiness of one and all. जीव मात्र के संतुष्टि के लिए, जीव मात्र के कल्याण के लिए, the whole medical sciences is all about. So thank you so much, Dr. Surbi, for such an illumining plethora of understanding, plethora of knowledge from a layman's perspective, because getting into the super specialty mode of it all, that we commoners feel कि भैया सीधे कान में दर्द है तो एक डॉक्टर के पास जाना है, और उल्टे कान में दर्द है तो किसी और के पास जाना पड़ेगा. Medicinal sciences has become so much complex, and somewhere the idea is to present it in an integral fashion, in a holistic fashion, with trust, with empathy, with the eventual goal of the patient in mind. I think patient centricity, which is again at the top of everything, the entire raison d'etre of the whole medicinal system over there. We would be continuing these intellectual marathons on one or the other thematics around healing. This was a lovely experience, Dr. Subi. Thank you again for all this illumining experiences. We would be closing today's session, and you can mark your questions in the YouTube comments. We would be trying, you can leave your, I would say, you can leave your contact IDs, or you can note down Dr. Surbhi's number, a helpline 8700603112. So if you want to interact with her, you can directly ping on this number, or you can put it on the YouTube comment box over there. We will be back with other exciting episodes of the Healing Hour, intertwined insights into integral healthcare. शरद पूर्णिमा की बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं। शरद का चंद्र आपके जीवन में ऐसा ही प्रकाश लेकर आए, इसी शुभकामनाओं के साथ हम आज के सत्र को विराम देते हैं।